Hello, everyone. We're getting ready to do another lovely chit chat with my good friend Nadine Searle. This one we are talking about being kind of in the messy middle, in the chaos of all the energies that we're feeling right now, and she's here. So let me just let her in. And I think she's joining us. Yes, that worked. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I was just saying I didn't say much before you joined. It worked so smoothly this
I,
time, which
I,
is like,
I have come in quite quickly,
you
I
know,
think. But do you know what, Trish? I've got that what we've had before. I can see myself, but I can't see
oh
you.
no.
It's okay because I can hear you, and actually
Okay.
that's fine.
And
And we know it's okay, don't we? So it's not a problem.
okay. And I can see you in the frame, so the video will be fine when we repost it,
Exactly.
reshare it. So
That's right. We know the
um
spirits. We've had it before, haven't we? And do you know, isn't this what we're talking about today? How things are a bit
yeah.
messy.
You know what I want to do is given that because I feel like we're both feeling that we are in this eclipse energy. We've been in between eclipses. We had the solar eclipse that just passed this morning that you just shared with me. You got to see a little glimpse of, which is so
Yes.
lovely. I
Yes.
want to take a minute and just take a one quick deep breath and just before we start together. How about we do that? Just
Let's
for
do that.
something
Let's
different.
do
Okay, ready? Inhale through the nose and then let it go through the mouth. So we can settle in to this space. Okay. I just
Can we?
felt the need yeah.
That is perfect. Can we do that one more time, Trish?
Let's
That was
take another
perfect.
one. Sure.
Mm,
Inhale through
mm.
the nose and hold it, and then let it go through the mouth. Letting it go through the mouth helps us reset our nervous system more
Yeah,
faster.
it's a
And
real
in like
relief.
you really do feel that sense of calm. And we are talking about not feeling that sense of calm. So I think it's good that we can settle into this conversation. And like I said, we just passed this solar eclipse, so we're in that energy still. We've been in that energy of being in between eclipses, and this eclipse is a partial solar eclipse. And I just want to touch on that this one is connected
Mm,
to, it goes back to your life in April of 2023. So think about what was going on in your life then and where you are now. This is the culmination of that. So I personally can connect those dots, and it's so interesting
um,
how it reveals to us like exactly kind of what we've been going through. And like we always say, these energies are here for us, whether we believe it or not. But I really feel like the more we lean into this, it gives us a wisdom about ourselves that we wouldn't have otherwise. For
mm,
example, we're also in, there's an aspect of this, of Chiron energy, and Chiron is the planet of the wounded healer.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we all have a placement in that. So where it is in our chart determines what wounds we're dealing with. And right now it's in Aries, and Aries is the energy of like self and self identity. I am, and going back to what your wounds are that you've carried, and those are your trigger points throughout life.
mm,
So we're also invited into those. It kind of gives us an explanation for why we operate the way that we do, and then from there we have a choice to either heal that or to keep avoiding it and pushing it away. And I think that's like
mm,
also the energy that we're in, because with these eclipses it's not about setting intention like new moons normally are, or full moons. For the last one, it's about, it comes with its own intention, the universe's
mm,
intention of writing you on
mm.
your path. So we maybe feel like we don't have a sense of control and in our lives, and everything is chaotic and in upheaval or messy, if
Yeah,
you will.
yeah.
And I don't know, does that resonate for you?
It really does, and it is that kind of that messiness and the chaos that I feel that I'm living at this moment in time. but I do strangely feel sort of okay with that
Yeah.
because I have a kind of trust and a faith that maybe a hope, optimism, that kind of thing, but that it will all be okay. You sort of need that bit of messiness sometimes, don't you? And trying, almost feeling that I don't need to try and tidy it up. I'm almost letting it go, and that's quite freeing, isn't it? So that is maybe because I am, I know I'm supported by what's going
Mm,
on in the universe, and I know it's not just me. There is that with the conversations that we have, and the fact that I do understand and feel it a bit more anyway, and that's sort of okay. Much as I can be. I mean, the classic, I'm going to share this because I said it to you briefly earlier, didn't I? The classic is, I can't get my hair right at the moment and I'm really frustrated. And just before we came and I've got to do my hair. And I thought, oh, what am I doing? Does it matter? It's that. So that's the way I'm sort of rolling with it, if you know what I mean, as an example. Does that sort of fit with it, do you
yeah.
think? Or,
Okay,
mm.
so many things there that you said that we can unpack because I love that. First of all, thanks for the realness because that's why I love these conversations because we're always talking about our real time, real life experiences in this. That a
Yeah,
lot of times
yeah.
we don't want people to see our messiness. We don't
Mm,
want people to see
mm,
like, don't come
mm.
over or let me know if you're coming over to my house so I can tidy up first.
Yes,
Like, we don't want
yes,
people to see like us in our like messiness, in our humanness, and it's like this is who we
yeah,
are. So
yeah,
what is wrong with that? And I think it's just like this need to show up a certain way that this is what like we are over time and as we are moving into higher consciousness collectively and individually first, we are letting go of that. So I love that you said that you're letting go of this need to like worry and try to get things a certain way because it's doing what it wants to do. And that's what this eclipse energy is. The universe is doing
yeah,
what it wants for you because it knows more than what we know. It
yeah,
knows that there is something
yeah,
greater for us. And if we can't see it right now, the universe knows. We just need to, like you said,
yeah,
trust that, this is the way it's meant to be
yeah,
and let go of
yeah,
it and not resist. So the other part is you're not resisting it because in that resistance of whatever's happening that isn't the way that you want it to be, that isn't going the way that you want it, that resistance is keeping you in that suffering of it. So if
yeah,
you can let go of the resistance and just let it, okay, this is the way things are
yeah,
right now. And
yeah,
that is then allowing yourself to be in that feeling of whatever it is, and then you're moving through it rather than resisting. It keeps you stuck in that, keeps us stuck in that. So
yeah, yeah,
I feel like,
yeah,
and then like there's, I mean, we're talking about your hair not going the way, but we can like go talk about different aspects that we're dealing with in our lives right now that are not going the way that we want, whatever that may be.
mm,
If we're
mm,
not resisting it and if we just allow it, there's something there for us inside of that to get
yeah,
a deeper wisdom, a deeper truth. When
yes,
things are easy, we're not growing, like we're not learning.
yes,
I don't know.
yes.
I
That
just,
that is that. It's true, isn't it? And that is the thing. If it's all smooth and running, go, we're not growing, we're not learning, we're not evolving, if you like. And to remember that when we are feeling in that messiness or whatever, to go, this is meant to be, this is going to be good for us, whether we see it or not at the moment. This is okay. It's like, again, coming back to the very simple example of my hair. So what? I'm still here. Everything's great. I'm still chatting to you. How wonderful. Doesn't really matter about my hair, does it? So that's the little bit of learning, growing, evolving that I've done just now,
right.
and that seems so superficial, but actually it's got quite a deep meaning, hasn't it? It's quite symbolic.
It
So
is.
yeah,
And I feel like, yeah, I can relate to what you're going through. I feel like in this last month or like just, it shows up differently daily, this mess. So one day it could be, yeah, my hair's not doing what I want it to do because I'm going on to Instagram Live and I want, to show
yeah,
up a certain way.
yeah,
And I get, and I'm like that too. And then there's other things that are like happening that are like we're in the mess that we don't know that like are on the bigger scale. Like for me personally, I made a big move. I moved back
yeah.
to an area that I moved away from just a year ago. And so,
Mm,
and in that move, it was very like, and I think we were talking about that, and that's where this topic kind of came up because
yeah,
our topics always come through our own
yeah,
experiences. And I was
yeah.
just feeling like everything was so chaotic. Nothing went the way that I wanted
Right.
it to. Like, it was just like one thing after another. As much as I was so ahead of the game and tried to organize, it didn't matter. the end.
yeah,
Like it was meant to go
yeah,
how it was meant to go. And I
yeah,
was supposed to go through that experience to learn,
yeah,
like, reflect and learn on like, what is it that I can take away from this? And then right after that, there was another big change that happened that I have
mm,
been going through the last few weeks. And so
yeah,
there's all these things that feel so messy. And I think back to like in my life, like the last 7 or 8 years, I've been through a lot of heartbreak, a lot of grief, in
mm,
and out of grief, like four big heartbreaks, all at
yeah,
different like degrees. And through that, like what I haven't done, which is what I would have done in the past with starting with that first one, which is why what prompted me to write Love Me, was that
yeah,
I didn't want to continue the pattern of these things that how I was showing up in my life, and then relationships going a certain way, what no matter what the setting was for that relationship. And I just think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, can I at least not have some struggle, like for
yeah,
once? Can I at least
yeah,
not? And it's like, well, wait a minute, Trish, like, no, like, this is what the human experience
yeah,
is. This is like, having these
yeah.
conversations with myself. And, I would, as much grief that I've been in, as painful as a lot of it has been, I wouldn't want anything different. I wouldn't want to change a thing.
No, no. And that's what's so interesting, isn't it? Because how often do we find ourselves, even if we don't say it, feeling it? We look back and go, okay, that's the way it panned out, but that is, I wouldn't change it because I've got to where I've got to. And that is classic, isn't it? And I think most people can find at some point in time, they do say that, don't they? Actually, I wouldn't have done it any different, or much as we get frustrated as we're going through it.
Hmm.
But it is the way it's meant to be. And like you say, when we give up that resistance and we just go with it, that is where we grow, isn't it? And that is where we go, oh, and I'm always of this opinion, I'm trying to make life easier for myself all
Yeah.
the time. And a lot of the time it is actually just going, come on, does it matter? And again, I've got to relate back to, you said something earlier about this is comparative to
Hmm.
2023, isn't it? Did you say that? Right. And it
Well, it's
hit me
connected
straight.
to, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it hit me straight away because we're coming into April now, aren't we? And April 2023 was when I had my first chemotherapy.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so it hit me straight away. Oh my God, yeah, exactly the same. I went, oh, that's when that happened. That was chaotic. That was my life changing. That was massive,
Mm,
And so if that's in relation, it hit, as soon as you said it, I went, oh my God, connect, connect, connect. That is so connected. And it's amazing. And again, that was total chaos. I didn't know what was going on. I had to give in to it. I had to just go with the flow. It's turned out, 2 years down the line, it's not so bad.
yeah.
And again, I'm going to come back to my hair again because at that point I was going, oh, I'm going to lose my hair. I lost it. It wasn't as bad as I feared. It was, not something I wanted, but
Yep.
it's all okay. It's all okay.
Mm.
And as soon as you said that 2023, I went, oh, that's what was happening 2 years ago. So
Can
yeah,
you
the
believe,
connection.
can you
I love
believe
it.
this connection that you just drew? Like
It's
you were
chilling,
fussing
isn't
about
it?
your hair
Yeah.
and then, oh my gosh, like, yeah, it's
Still
so,
fussing about me.
this is what I love about like when we lean into these energies and kind of
Yeah.
explore into that, like, there is so much there for us. And it's like, not saying we're living our lives like by the T of like astrology. That's not what like,
No,
but it's like
no.
everything is energy and we are a part of that. And for us to
Mm.
deny that is just to deny our existence.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's so many layers to who we are. And the whole point of why we are talking about these things is to understand ourselves better. I feel like ultimately, because, and it's not a selfish thing, it's not about us. Ultimately, it's about our connection to each other. And if we
Yeah,
don't know who
yeah,
we
yeah,
are, if we don't know
yeah,
what our needs are, if we don't know
yeah.
what we need or want, or like anything about ourselves on a deeper level, I'm not talking superficial, let's go out and party and all that. I'm talking about
Mhm.
like what we need, like as to nurture our soul. If we don't know that, how can we then connect with anyone on any deep
Yeah,
level in our life, no matter who it is? So ultimately, with the work that we do on ourselves, the things that we reflect on about ourselves and make choices then afterwards from that point, those are the things that also improve every other aspect of our lives. And
mhm.
ultimately, everyone else around us too benefits. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
yeah,
just so
and
many layers to this.
there
And
really
I
is, isn't there? Sorry, go on.
no, and I just get so excited talking about
Yeah,
about it. That's why I
well, we
like
do.
that we talk about these things, because
Mm.
I feel like, that we always touch on a deeper level, no matter what it
Yeah,
is we're talking about. And
yeah,
yeah, just
yeah,
grateful
and it
for
is
that.
like, you say all the time, don't you, about, this is where the pain and in the feelings that we go through, and the stuff that happens in our life that we wouldn't necessarily want, that is where we learn. And that's where, if we're dealing with it ourselves, it's not selfish, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, because it helps everyone else as well. And you say that repeatedly, and it's really, I think we need to hear it repeatedly as well, to remember. But it's so important, isn't it? Just going with it. We are, like you say, we're here, for a reason that maybe we don't understand. But it sometimes, I tend to get, and I don't know how you feel about it, Trish, but every now and again, especially when I talk to you, I get a little snippet of go, oh, that's what it's all
Hmm.
about. Oh yeah, and I don't fully understand it. I don't dig that deep sometimes. I just get that little feeling, and it's hugely comforting.
Hmm.
I go, okay, I can just give it up. It's all okay. And again, going back to 2 years ago when I started my chemo, I was terrified. I didn't know what was ahead of me. I didn't know, I had to go into it, no choice really. But now I can look back and go, yeah, it wasn't so bad. It's that kind of, there's a lot of good in it and everything. And again, it's the lessons, isn't it? I can remember that now. I haven't got that fear anymore. I've been through that, like you say, worked my way through it, felt all that, gone through all what I went through. I've benefited from it, who just so have other people around me,
Yes.
and that is where you can go, oh yeah, that was, and talk about messy, talk about chaotic. It
Hmm.
was, it really was.
And yeah, yeah,
um, but I can look back and go, yeah, a lesson that was there for me, maybe whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. Um, but in so many ways, how much good does it do? How much good has it done me?
it
Um,
has. And that's like,
mm,
I'm so glad you're
mm,
bringing this into the conversation, because it's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Like, you were in this chaotic mess, like you didn't know what was going on, but you did it anyways. But you also didn't try to escape it. You went with it. You really processed your feelings around this
mm,
in real time, and you
yeah,
shared that. And I think
yeah,
that's huge, because a lot of times, like, we kind of shut when we're going through this big experience that feels so chaotic and messy and scary and all of that, we shut down emotionally just so we can get
yeah,
through it. But I
yeah,
feel like you left the door open so that you can process things in real time. And like, now you're looking back on that and say, oh, it wasn't so bad. Where if you
mm,
had shut down, you'd be just like, you'd be still dealing with the emotions of, and not to say that
yes,
you won't still deal with that, because
yeah,
those that experience is a very complex experience on top of everything else you've experienced in your life. So,
mm, mm,
like, so good on you for going through it and facing those truths that you didn't
mm,
want to face, or facing
mm,
the parts that you were scared of, in
yeah,
order to, like, feel that in real time and, like, process and work your way through that, like, to the other side, where now you can look back and say, actually, like, I faced my fears and it wasn't that bad. Like, and
yeah, yeah,
you know,
and
you because you've processed a lot
it,
since then.
exactly, and and people that have listened to our conversations, our chit chats, will know too, because we talked about it in lots of different ways, haven't we? How, yes, I would have hidden it, I would have been keeping it to myself and everything. You, as along with a few other people, have massively encouraged me to talk about it, helped me process in so many ways. And look how much good it has done me.
Yes.
And to get, I'm so grateful for all of that. It's so much, all of the way it is, the way that, I'm a different person. I've learned so much through that experience. And like you say, to remember that the chemo started 2 years ago, it's just mind blowing, isn't it? Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
but also that, remember, like you say, I was able to share it, and the fact that I did share it, which, I wasn't that comfortable with, but I went with that. I had the opportunity to share it, and that is really good. And now it's come even further, coming through full circle, if you like, or even more than that. That now I know how much that what I've been through is helping other people, and
Yes.
that again, that is wonderful. And I'm so, again, so grateful that I have this opportunity, that I've been, this was my experience, so that I can help others. And I wouldn't have done that otherwise. If I hadn't been through the messy, the chaos, and still going through it sometimes, like you say, it's good that we share this in the real moment, don't we? This
Yeah.
is what we're living at the moment, because we know there will be people listening to this, whether they're listening live or they're going to listen later. They're going to go, oh yeah, me too. It's not just me. They're going to do that, aren't they?
They are. And I think
Mm.
the more that you like share the sharing aspect, like there's so many layers to that and
Yeah,
how that helps you heal and grow. First of all, like you being able to like put words to how you're feeling and express yourself, but then
yeah,
sharing that, then there's a layer of healing and feeling seen and heard in that for
yeah,
yourself. But then somebody else in those words, like also going through what you're maybe, after you've gone through it and you've shared
yeah,
and or
yeah,
they
yeah,
went through it and they didn't have a support system or they didn't have
yeah,
a
yeah,
process it in real time and they're processing it now, but they see
yeah,
themselves in your sharing and your
yes,
words and your
yes,
expression and they feel seen and heard, they heal. And
yeah,
it then allows other people to start to talk about it more because a lot of
yeah,
these things we go through, whatever struggle it is, whether it's a cancer diagnosis, whether it's addiction, whether it's a divorce,
yeah,
a death in the family,
yeah,
like we tiptoe around it instead of going into it. Like when we're the people that are supporting the person going through it, we don't want, like we want them to be okay, so we
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like do what we can from like a distance
yeah,
and to
yeah,
not like make them cry or not make them upset or
yeah,
whatever, but it's in the
yeah,
getting upset, it's in the allowing of the emotions that we're able to process it. And if we could all just let go of like the fact that like we're gonna cry when we're sad, like it's sad,
yeah.
sadness is a human emotion. There is a spectrum of emotions where sadness and happiness exist on the same spectrum, and it's
And
okay to feel
yeah,
both. It's okay to feel both
yeah.
at the same time even. So
And don't we? We do. If we just
mhm,
give ourselves that, we can. The laughter and the tears. They sit together so beautifully. And again, it's that giving it up and just going. I'm not trying to stop that emotion. I'm just letting it flow. And you can be laughing one minute, crying the next minute, laughing again. That's real. That's a reality, isn't it? If you just let yourself.
yes,
And again, without judgment, without trying to control it, just let yourself do it. And again, I come back to my time as a nursery school teacher, when the little children I spent my time with just did that. They didn't think about it, they did it.
right.
They were crying one minute, they were cross another minute, they were happy another minute. They were just going through all those emotions, just letting them flow in and out of themselves quite naturally. No censoring, no changing. They just did it. And that's little children, isn't it? They're there to teach us too, aren't they? So
And yeah, that's a good point to bring in this too. Like,
mm,
and look how quickly we try to shut that down. Like,
yeah,
as
exactly.
society, I'm not like talking about anyone in specific, but as a society, we try to very early on with children
Mm,
shut down their emotions instead of
yeah,
like sitting with them and say, I know this must feel like hard right
yes,
now, or I know like you're sad and like, let's talk
mm,
about it. Instead,
mm.
like, it's you need to stop crying right now and like let's
Yes,
get on with it, we have stuff to
yeah, we
do.
try it.
Or
What can I do to make you feel better? Stop crying. Oh, cheer
yeah,
up. All those terms we've all heard. We might have said them ourselves. And again, not blaming anyone, no criticism. It's just sometimes what we do. And to look at that, and if we don't do that, we still get through it. It's
yeah,
all okay. It's sometimes good, because it's so valuable, isn't it, to express your emotions and let them move through you and do what they need to do. And then you're over it, you're through it. And that is the
exactly.
joy, isn't it?
That's
As I say, young children do it naturally, and we do change that. We change as we grow older. And me and you, as an example, are desperately, for me especially, wanting to get back to that,
yeah,
because I see it as a better way of
I do
being. Um,
too, I
so
totally agree.
yeah, and I know
I
I feel better now that I'm coming back to that, because I was like that as a little child, and I
mhm,
changed for whatever lots of reasons, and now I'm sort of going, it's okay, when I want to cry, I cry, I don't even know to know why. Sometimes the tears come, and they do,
yeah,
but that's okay, and the tears come for all sorts of emotions, don't they? It's not just sadness. So but letting that happen, and just knowing that they're not going to be there forever, which I used to think they would be.
mhm,
I used to think that. But it is, and you said earlier about, me sharing my experience, then it helps others because they feel heard and understood, whether they're coming to it in their time or a bit later, they can do that. And I say exactly the same. I'm going to hold up your lovely book again. That's exactly what people get from reading what you've written. You've written about what you've been through. This is your original book. You've got a poetry one, you've got a book with meditations as well. So for people, again, to pick up the book, if they've got it, if they haven't got it, get it, and read something, because you will feel the same. You'll feel what we're talking about, won't you? You'll feel heard, understood. You'll be able to connect and relate, because it is about your story, but you don't have to be doing exactly the same thing. I read it. I wasn't going through what you were going through,
Hmm.
but I can relate. And I still do. As people know, I dip in and out of your books all the time, and something speaks to me, and I go, oh, so I feel totally, this is one of our connections, isn't it? That I feel so connected to you because you've shared
Mm.
that, and then with our chit chats and our conversations that we have privately as well, we have that wonderful connection. And I always feel that you understand me, you hear me, you help me, you feel what I'm feeling. And that's a wonderful privilege, isn't it? And again, this is what we know. People get that from listening to these chit chats,
Hmm.
because we get some comments, don't we? People get it from reading your book. I hope that people get it, and well, I know that it happens to a point because of the feedback I get. When I share, people go, "Oh, when you said that, I really felt it, because I felt that too."
Yeah.
So we know that, don't we, Trish? And this is really why we do it, isn't it? So
And I just want to say likewise, everything you said, like I'm so grateful that like we have like you have that ability with me too to
yeah,
pick up on when something's off, or like we work through it, we talk through
mm,
things, and like you've been such a great source of support. And I think like we need that because we can't always, it's our thing to work through, but having that support system and having, feeling seen and heard and feeling safe to like share what you're going through is huge. And so
it
I'm so
is.
grateful for that too. And
Me too.
going
Me too.
back to what we were talking about, like why we're talking about, like you're sharing your experience, I shared my experience in the book, but sharing those, that just helps. Like it's not to say that, oh, this happened to me and I'm the victim and I'm this. No, it's not about that. It's about sharing that we all have our different paths and our different journeys that our souls are taking in this
Yeah.
lifetime, and it shows up in different ways for everybody, but there is something that we can learn from everybody in our lives and vice versa. Like and being able to talk about it, whether it's in a book, whether it's in a workshop, whether it's on this IG live, or wherever, just in a conversation in a coffee shop, it's like being able to share those experiences. Then the other person, whoever we're sharing that with, they feel like some sort of like they can connect the dots for themselves in their own lives, and then feel a sense of like um not, I don't know if permission is the right word, but like to be able to openly talk about these
Yeah.
things. Because for so long, like we grew up, like we said, we kind of shut down children's emotions, and we were on the receiving end of that as well. But we do it in as adults as well. That's
We
what we're
do.
talking about. Like,
We do.
like even for you going through your cancer experience, your treatment is done, and so everyone's like, oh, you're better now, right? Oh, everything's great now, right? Like,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
not seeing that you're still going to appointments and you're still like
Yeah.
dealing with emotions and
Yeah.
all the things. And
Yeah.
because we want everyone to be okay in our lives so that
Yeah.
we feel okay,
Yeah.
because we're so uncomfortable with when things aren't okay. And
Yeah.
what we're trying to say here is let's just be in the mess of all of it. And it's okay to be in a mess. It's okay to feel
Exactly.
like out of control and
Yeah.
in a bit of chaos and
Yeah.
all of that. And then just let go of trying to control things to go the way that you think they should
Yeah.
go, and allow a greater plan to unfold, and the opportunity for you to learn something about
Yeah.
yourself through that, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's, you just said it there perfectly. This is what we're saying today. It's okay to be in the mess. Don't try and change that necessarily. Just go with it. It is okay. That's what it's about, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? And that's a really simple message, actually. We feel the messy. Our natural thing is to try and maybe tidy it up or change it or do whatever. But let's put that out there, and I'll say it again, maybe experiment with sitting in the messy, being in that kind of, let it be, let everything just be the way it is. It's not so bad, because it's not so bad, is it? And it is that classic, the messiness of the planets at the moment. And what we're all, I'm sure we're all feeling it to some degree. It's okay. It's okay. And that, when you do that, that takes the fear away, doesn't it? And that actually allows you to be a little bit freer within that chaos, which is really what's a blessing, isn't it? To go,
It
yeah, it's
is.
okay.
And I
Mm,
think that the more we allow ourselves to be with it, just be with whatever energies and emotions are coming up, the
yeah.
easier that process gets. It's
Mm,
hard when you're constantly distracted by like not being alone with yourself in these moments of where it's challenging, and you try to like make all these plans and do all these things and distract and scroll on Instagram and do everything you can to avoid being by yourself and being in the stillness of the
yeah,
chaos or in the
yeah,
middle of
yeah,
that chaos. But I
yeah,
think the more we allow ourselves just to be with whatever is present in the present moment, then the easier that process gets. It becomes second nature to just, let's sit here for a minute and
yeah.
explore
And
this.
yeah, and it takes a bit of courage to do that, because we don't do it. We're not used to doing it, are we? So again, and as you know, one of my
Mm,
6 steps in my Calmer Self method is sitting with difficult emotions. And once we get okay with that, it's really, really powerful, isn't it?
it is.
And that's a, I used to be scared of doing that, but it's a good thing to do. I've just noticed, Tricia,
I
so
saw,
someone put a message here,
yes.
and I can't see all of it, so I don't know if it's something that
I
you
can
maybe
read
could
it.
read
I
in
can read it. Yeah.
approximately. I can see a bit of it. Yeah.
Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. When someone steps into courage, it makes them relatable, so someone else can explore their current situations and not feel alone with their struggle. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Isn't
100%.
that
Yes.
true? I've just got those chills there. That's so true.
Yeah, that's
That's
such a
so
good
true,
point, Rebecca. Thank you
isn't
for
it?
bringing that
And
in.
and beautifully
Yes,
put. Thank you. You speak so beautifully. I love that. So thank you for that. It's so
it
true. So
it
so true.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, it is about that relating and connecting, isn't it, and everything, and to know that we're not alone,
That
because
we're not
whatever we're
alone.
feeling, yeah, whatever we're feeling, someone else is feeling or has felt, and that again, that's really comforting, isn't it, to just know, because people do feel alone, and we don't have to, we
When
don't
you're
have to feel that.
I and I get that like a feeling of alone and isolation when you're going through something very hard,
Mm,
very
mm,
dark. It does like you feel alone, and even though I know that I'm not alone in that, in the moments that of those dark moments,
yeah,
yes, I feel
mm,
alone too. And but it's allowing ourselves to be in that. And that's why like when Rebecca said like if we can share that with other people, then they know they're not alone. Like that, oh,
yeah,
you go through
yeah,
this too? Like, and I
yeah,
feel like I remember when
mm,
I first started like coaching um people, like first it was with their career and then it was more like in a life coach setting, and a client said to me, oh my God, like you struggle with this too. And it's like, like, this is how I've learned how I've gotten the
yeah,
experience to be able to
yeah,
help others. Like, just like you have
yeah,
gotten the
yeah,
experience through your, um, cancer diagnosis and
yeah,
treatment and all the things that you've been through with that, like, and you really leaned into that during that time, that you can now help others
yeah,
who are struggling with that
yeah,
experience. And that is how, like, the beauty of being with whatever is showing up right now.
yeah, yeah. It's so true, isn't it? And how many times do we hear that in, just everybody must hear it, oh, you feel like that too. People don't realise unless we share. So it is that, that wonderful, encourage people to share, to experiment with it, try. I'll share a little bit of something maybe I would have hidden or kept quiet about, and just see the reaction, because that is wonderful to get, to know that you maybe have helped someone or touched someone, or just, when someone goes, oh, you too, it's an amazing feeling, isn't it? You go, oh, I wasn't going to share that, but I'm glad I did now, because that's helped you. That's
And
a wonderful feeling,
it
isn't
is, and
it?
yeah, you feel a sense of validation, and you feel
mm,
seen and heard. You feel like, okay, I'm not the only one. And um, again, that's why, like, when I know when I was going through what I was going, like before I wrote Love Me, and I wanted to be able to share that because I knew I wasn't the only one going through that. And even
yeah,
in like you said, the chapters that, or the chapters that I like, one of the chapters that keeps coming up for me is the grief chapter, which is
mm,
one of the first
mm,
chapters. I think it's chapter one,
yes,
prologue, and then
yes,
grief. And
yeah,
because it all begins with grief, because grief is that process of sifting and sorting
mm,
through
yeah,
the feelings and emotions,
mm,
and it's so present in all of our lives at different times,
mm,
and it's
mm,
something we all experience. And so I knew that even though my grief was centered around a heartbreak, a relationship, that other people who are going through or have gone through grief can relate to, because I think it's so important to, just like grief is one of those like messy energies, like we're in this chaotic mess of emotions.
yeah,
And so it's similar, to what we're talking about now. It allows, allowing ourselves to be in that allows us to let some of that go. We don't have to carry all of this with us our entire lives. And many times, like that grief, especially if we're in adulthood and we've had a lot of life experience and we haven't dealt with grief in that mindful way, then if we're going through something currently that's that's bringing in grief, we're also in grief for those layers beneath that we haven't dealt with,
but
because grief
that's,
compounds if we're not
yeah,
processing it.
exactly.
So
And that's
that's
so often the case, isn't it? That we aren't dealing with just one thing at a time, are we? It builds, and it is. I think it's so valuable, then, isn't it, to deal with things, because if you haven't dealt with it in the past, you are going to have to at some point, aren't you? So, or it's going to present itself again, isn't it? So, those again are the lessons, aren't they? To go, well, you can't avoid it. It's going to come up, isn't it? So,
yeah.
um, yeah, it's just so, and again, that takes a little bit of courage, doesn't it? Because we do think things are in the past and they're not going to come up, but they do, don't they? Like you say, when grief hits us for whatever reason, um, it's very rarely just one thing that we're feeling, isn't it? It's more than that normally, isn't it? There's more things come
Yeah,
up.
you
Um,
feel all the other areas where you've had grief in your life, that maybe
mm,
there's there's always going to be a little portion of that's going to come back around. And I used to, early on in this process of like my own self exploration, and I guess awakening and all of that,
mm,
working on myself, I used to kind of like look at that as like, oh, I'm doing something wrong here, because why am I dealing with this emotion again around this
yes, yeah,
situation?
yeah,
And it's like, no, because we're always, because if that's, I now I see that as a sign of growth, because I'm coming at it from a different perspective. So I'm
yeah,
seeing a part of that experience that I couldn't see before.
yeah,
And so if you can look at
mm,
it that way and invite that in, because that's another opportunity to learn something again, and to
mm,
um
mm,
and I think that is again tied to what we're talking about, being in the mess and just allowing that. And
yeah, mm,
that's always going to come back around for us. So I feel like, and I feel like life right now is just, there is so much information coming at us, and so many things like UFOs and these like things in the sky over Europe right now with the
yeah,
spiral and all this things. Like we are experiencing new forms of light on this planet, and this is what
mm,
this
mm,
is. And
mm,
if we aren't paying attention, if we aren't allowing ourselves the space to kind of explore within ourselves, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because we're, in doing that too, we strengthen and embody, we can then embody the strength that we can glean from that experience of doing the exploration, of being in the mess. we're stronger on the other side of that, and we can
Yeah.
handle like these
Yes.
things that we're like, what is this? We've never,
Yes.
why is this happening right now? Or,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we have our connection with ourselves and with the universe, and
Mm,
however
mm.
you name that, whether it's God or Mother, universe, whatever, we
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
relationship and with ourselves and
Yeah.
to get us through. So that is another
Yeah.
reason why we're talking about these things,
Mm,
because
yeah.
it's an
Definitely.
important
And
tool to have right now.
it is, it builds our resilience, doesn't it? And we all need that. And that, so if we don't go in, if someone lives a charmed life, for example, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but they don't get a chance to build their resilience to grow and learn and everything. So that's where I do feel, and I know you do too, we are grateful for those lessons that keep getting repeated, maybe because we're coming at them from a newer level of understanding, and we can pick out something else and go, oh, new bit of a lesson, So we are grateful for it, much as in the moment we might not like it, because I still do feel like that. But
Yeah.
we can see it, can't we? And again, I wouldn't change that. I wouldn't go, oh, I wish I had an easier life or not been through what I've been through. I wouldn't change that. And I'm sure I might be speaking out of turn, but I'm sure you feel the same.
I
Wouldn't
feel the
change it.
same. I
Yeah.
do. And
Mm.
just going back to like what we talked about at the beginning about these eclipse energies, these are invitations for us to like kind of take a pause and not try to control things, but
Yeah.
to witness what is coming up for us, what is going on
Yeah.
in our life right now,
Yeah.
and what can we take away from that? And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's like I feel like I said before, like I've looked back on my life like the last 7 or 8 years, and there's been a lot of grief, a lot of heartbreak, and a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah.
And also, I wouldn't change that. And it's almost like I know there's going to be more of that. And
Yes, yes,
this eclipse
yeah,
energy we were talking about when we were talking about this topic, immediately I think of like a feeling that I was feeling when I had that devastating heartbreak and I had that grief and I was writing Love Me, and I wrote this poem called Etch a Sketch,
yes,
because Etch a
yes,
Sketch is what, if you grew up in the 70s and
yeah,
80s, maybe 60s, I don't know. Etch a Sketch, the little rectangle round thing where
yeah,
it's what our version of a video game or whatever, where you can make little drawings
it
and
sort
you
of was,
shake it
wasn't
up
it?
and
Yeah,
erase it. And I felt like my
yeah,
life was like an Etch a Sketch, and I wrote that. So every
yeah,
time an eclipse
yes,
comes, I'm reminded of that energy because it feels like
yeah,
an Etch a Sketch. Like
yeah,
it's shaking
yeah,
things up for a
yeah,
reason, and it's okay. And it might feel like, oh my God, I'm not gonna like, I don't want to deal with this right now, and I don't want
yeah,
to like navigate this, and why do I have to like ask all the questions, why, what, how, like why me? And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
for a reason. And it's
It,
like, so now I
it,
kind of look at it like that, even though that doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable, it doesn't
no,
mean it's not hard,
no,
but I know I can do hard things. I know you
get
can
it.
do hard things, we can do hard
We
things,
can
we can do all
do it.
the things that
Yeah,
help us to get stronger.
yeah. And that is where the confidence comes as well, isn't it? And that,
Yeah.
and again, as I would say so often, the fear has gone because we go, yeah, I've been through that,
Yeah.
it's that, so you get that courage, you build your resilience, and that's really, that is a bit of what life is all about. But also for me personally, I just go, yeah, great, I'm not scared of that anymore, been through that, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I love that, that's how I want to grow. So, but you mentioned your lovely writing it, etch a sketch, and I do hope people that are listening to this can relate, because we both can straight away. We're so far apart in the world, and ages, aren't we? We both knew what the etch a sketch was. And I just, your lovely writing here, I mean, can I read it out? Is that okay to read it out?
Yeah, of course.
Because actually I just think it's so perfect, exactly what we're talking about now. You're so right. So I will, it's not very long, is it? So I'll read it out, and it's just perfect, isn't it? So when it feels like the universe isn't working in your favor, that's exactly what it's doing. There are days when the universe hits the pause button and shakes me like an etch a sketch. What perhaps looks like a slightly messy state of completeness was in fact ever so slightly out of alignment. The shake-up remains a necessary part of the journey, focusing, sorry, forcing, I do beg your pardon, forcing pause for reflection and healing, a multitude of questions. Why? Insert this, me, us now, etc. But with that is an opportunity to sort through the contrast, feel it, work through it, and uncover the lesson. Many lessons to apply. We understand what is because we know what isn't. Realignment, a recalibration of the soul, no matter what the universe has in store. Always go with the flow and trust. I mean, that is just, I've got one word wrong there and corrected myself. I do apologise, but honestly, that's powerful, really powerful. And we've just spent all that time talking about this. All we really needed to do is read that, because that sums it up big
It
time, big
does.
time, big time. And this is what I always say about your poetry, and I know other people do it too. I'm going to attempt it one day, and I'm sure I can manage it in some degree. But you sum it up so concisely, so beautifully, and you go, that's all you need. That poem there is it everything that we've just been talking about, isn't it? So thank you for writing that. I know when you wrote it, you were really feeling it, but it just, I'm sure everyone can understand that. You know, that's what it is. We think we've got it wrong. Trust it. Go with the flow. All what we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
You've summed it beautifully. So thank you for writing that. Thank you for letting me read it, although I
Yeah.
did
Thank
make
you
a
for
mistake.
reading it. And I think that's a beautiful way to like close this out.
Yeah, yeah,
So you mentioned your calmer self method, your 6 steps, which I know have helped
yeah,
me be able to sit with emotions. And
yeah,
you have such a beautiful way of helping people through that. Beautiful and so unique. And
yeah.
just with the magic that you bring.
Oh,
And
thank you.
where can people find you and your
Yes,
work?
the easiest thing to do for that is go to my Calmer Self website, and it's just Calmer Self, the website, because that's all spelled out. My 6 step program is all on there, and that is one of the steps. So thank you for bringing that up, because it is, you know, it is important. It's something that we don't do. And once we learn how to do that, again, it's freeing. It helps you go with the flow. It's a real good tool to actually have there to use whenever you feel you need it, because it is powerful. So thank you so much for that. And for you, you know, I know that you work with people. You mentioned earlier about coaching. You do that, don't you, in your real life as well? You know, help people work through emotions. You've helped me massively in so many ways, and your beautiful Reiki I love, and of course the books.
Yes.
So where can I hold it up a bit better?
Yeah.
Um, where can everybody find you and get your books if they want to, if they haven't already?
They can find me at Trish. This is trishcampbell.com. The books are all the ways to buy the books are there as well. Also available on Amazon worldwide, all 3 of them. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for you and for us to be
Yeah,
able to have these conversations out loud and
me too. Me too.
openly and real and raw and just sharing what we're
Yeah,
going through. And I'm always, just so like energized after we have these and
me too. Me too.
just filled
It's
with
amazing.
gratitude.
But this is our connection, isn't it? And I love that. Every time we chat, we feel like this.
Yeah,
But can I just say one more thing,
sure.
Trish, as well? You recently, was it within the last 24 hours, on your Facebook, I think you might probably did it on Instagram as well, you put up another wonderful poem about struggle. And again, that really relates to what we've been talking about today, hasn't it? So I'd invite people to go and look you up on social media. This is Trish Campbell all over the place, isn't it? Trish
Yes.
Campbell.
Yep.
And look at that, because you put that poem up, and again, that really
Mm,
is something to relate to for what we've been
thank
talking
you,
about today.
Nadine.
It's beautiful. So thank you. Keep doing what you do. Keep being wonderful and
You
beautiful.
as
Thank you so
well. You as well.
much.
All right. Until next
Yeah,
time, everyone.
thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.